Members of Parliament, support staff, radio listeners, TV viewers, all following this meeting via social media, members of the press, good morning. I welcome you to this public meeting for today, public meeting number 6 for today, Tuesday, October 29th. At this time, I want to give a special welcome to the Minister of Finance, Ms. Marinka Gumbs, and her support staff. We have established a quorum of 8 members. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received notice of absence from the member MP Lewis. I have received notice of lateness from the member Roseberg. And I ask now if there are any notifications from the floor as I invite MP La Cruz to take the floor. MP La Cruz, you have the floor.
A blessed morning, Madam Chair Lady. Thank you, SG. Minister of Finance, your support staff, other members of Parliament, and those listening through all social media platforms. Madam Chair Lady, I'd first like to extend my condolences to the York family. As we know, we have 4 members of Parliament here that are related to the deceased, to a senseless gun violence again in the country. Madam Chair Lady, a notification or something that is actually has been on my mind for the last 3 days is the fact that we have now decided to follow these budget amendment meetings while 4 members of Parliament will not be able to attend tomorrow. And even though there will be enough to form a quorum, I think it is extremely unfortunate that our contribution to the budget amendment will be missed because we are not here. So the request, I think I saw it once or twice already came in, if this could have been postponed to maybe next week, Monday, when the rest came in, or if we could push it today as far as possible, even if it takes us to 12 a.m., but to make sure that everyone could contribute to it, because it is extremely disappointing knowing that we were sent on a work visit, and then this was scheduled after. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. I now give the floor to MP York.
Good morning, Madam Chair Lady. Good morning, honorable colleagues, Minister and support staff, and the viewing public. First and foremost, I'd like to also extend my condolences to the York family. And secondly, I would like to piggyback off of what my colleague MP La Cruz just said. Contrary to it being planned afterwards, I explicitly asked the question a couple of weeks ago, before I gave my go-ahead to attend the work trip, when are these meetings going to be held? And I was told something totally different. And then I agreed to attend the work trip, to then last minute find out that plans have changed. Too often, Madam Chair, the viewing public is not informed transparently why certain things happen in Parliament. Plans can change, but there are always reasons they can change. And I think the viewing public, as myself and my colleagues on this side of the room would be very curious to know why the viewing public will not get the full 15 to vote on this budget when time comes. I know, through you, Madam Chair, that I can't request anything of you, and it's up to your purview, but I would kindly like to request an explanation to me and by extension the people of St. Martin to why this meeting was adjusted to happen the way it's happening now. The people would like to know, and I think transparency is the least that we can ask. Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. I now give the floor to MP Irian. MP Irian, you have the floor.
Good morning to you, Madam President, SG, my colleagues, the Minister of Finance and her support staff, and the viewing public. Madam Chair, first of all, I'd like to offer my condolences to the York family and also MP Duran. And also, I'd like to mention that MP Duran has requested a few weeks ago that the government look into funeral contributions for civil servants. We have a very, very old legislation. I believe it goes back to '95. He can correct me if I'm wrong. And since he's mentioned that, we've had another colleague in Vermont that passed away, and now we have a second colleague in Vermont that passed away. I would really like the government to really pay attention to this, give feedback, respond, and look into this matter. I believe that we're seeing a lot more civil servants pass away. And even in our term that we were there, we've had persons come to us and ask for support because of how old the legislation is, Madam Chair. Please, the Prime Minister is here with us today. I would really like the Prime Minister to look into the request by MP Duran and take it serious. Madam Chair, Madam President, when we look at a few weeks ago, the government requested, or actually the Parliament allowed the government time to hand their questions, their answers in writing to us. We obliged, and 2 weeks later, or more than 2 weeks later, we get the answers at 5:15 yesterday. 5:15 yesterday. How do we, as members of Parliament, prepare? Why would I give the government another opportunity to give the answers in writing? And 165 pages, Madam President, 165 pages. And on top of that, questions still not answered. The quality of some questions are horrible. But you know what? Because the document is a public document, I will be publishing the answers of the ministers on my website, ardwell.sx, so the general public could also view and watch the answers and see the responses given by the ministers to questions we pose. But in addition to that, I'll be also posting the questions that were not answered so the public will also know. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, MP Irian, and those who made use of the notification round, so to speak. Thank you all. I omitted to mention that we also received a notice of lateness from MP Kotai, so herewith I make that notification, and I want to start with joining those members of Parliament and all others who have expressed their sympathy to the York family. I join in expressing my condolences as well, and I join in expressing strength to the people of St. Martin in general with the tragedies that we are confronted with as a society. And I want to echo the sentiments of MP Irian based on a request made by MP Duran to look into updating the policy, is what it is, of funeral contributions for civil servants. I join my colleagues in requesting that the ministers, the respective ministers, please pay attention to this and respond to the Parliament as soon as you possibly can, not today, but in connection with that request. Thirdly, allow me to make mention of the fact that from the faction of the UP, I received a letter with respect to this meeting, the start of the public meeting for handling the amendment to the budget 2024. Yes? And in that letter, the faction raises the fact that, and I quote, "We currently lack sufficient time to prepare adequately for the upcoming meeting." And then the faction also referred to the fact that a delegation of members will be traveling during this week, in fact, tomorrow, for the general public, I wish to make note of the members of who it has been agreed to in a Central Committee meeting of Parliament to travel to Latino meetings this week. The members are MP York, MP La Cruz, MP Kotai, and MP Roseburg, leaving present on the island 11 members of Parliament. 1. Indeed, in discussing the start of the public meetings handling the draft amended budget, amongst others, MP York, as he indicated, asked about the continuation of handling the budget in a public session. My response, our response at the time was that we were looking into starting the public handling of the amendment next week. That was indeed the intention of Parliament. Following the handling of the amended budget in Central Committee meetings, both secretariats of Parliament and of government work through the nights actually, to prepare the necessary report. Let me remind the public that the 100-and-something pages report is actually a reflection of the questions and answers given already in the Central Committee meeting of Parliament. That's what the report, as required by law, contains. So the questions are formalized in writing.